hope you're enjoying my dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with family and friends, like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it. And just remember, Jesus loves you.
Hi guys, just one little factor here before we start this video here today. If for any reason my YouTube channel gets taken down, which could happen because we're challenging the deep state and we're challenging the powers behind the scenes. But if it does get taken down, I'm going to share the link below here. We have a website, drcharlieward.co.uk, and you can subscribe on there to our updates and our newsletters, etc., that are being produced by Lee Hemington. But you'll be able to keep in touch with what's going on. So at the moment, everything is nice and smooth. But if for any reason we get taken down, you simply go to my website, drcharlieward.co.uk, and register there, and you'll get all the information as to where we are or where you can view our videos. Hi guys, welcome today. My guest is all the way from New Delhi, Rashmi Khilnani. Welcome, Rashmi.
Hi, Charlie. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day, your time, and afternoon, my time, New Earth, New Delhi.
Exactly. And we're going to be talking about the awakening and the spiritual side and how we get through this difficult time. And you're going to guide us through it.
This is one of the most exciting times to be alive, guys. I mean, Charlie, don't you resonate?
Oh, 100%. I've never been more peaceful in my life, and
wonderful.
It's a wonderful feeling, and people are connecting to that. We can see what's happening. We can see where we're going. There's a lot of people that are still very nervous because they don't understand what's happening, and fear, when you don't know what's happening, can be very, very dangerous. So we're here to sort of give you a little bit of guidance. And Rashmi, you've had a lot of connections in your life.
Shall I introduce myself very briefly?
Please do.
Okay, so guys, my name is Rashmi Khilnani, and I'm the author of 3 books, The Divine Mother Speaks, The Healing of the Human Heart. And just the title will help you to connect to your beautiful cosmic hearts right now. And if you can listen to the rest of this transmission from your feeling body as opposed to your thinking body, then you can receive a lot of grace and healing and joy within free will and the highest good and divine timing. I'm also the author of Shiva Speaks, Conversations with Mahavatar Babaji. These are all archetypal energies beyond religion that are deeply the wisdom teachings, and these archetypal energies exist within each and every one of us. And the third book is Buddha Speaks, to the Buddha Nature Within. And these books were channeled by me through guidance with the Ascended Masters for this wake-up time around between I can't remember time anymore, but between 2010 and around that time, you know, and I sold everything I had and all the roofs over my head for this wake-up cycle as an ascension pioneer, and many of us across the globe are working silently from behind the scenes with the energies as we go more and more fully. We are fully in the photonic belt. So we have a 26,000 years sleep cycle, and then we have in the ecliptic, and then we have 26,000 years, you know, a wake-up cycle. And this is a golden age, a golden time, a gold standard, which Charlie knows a lot about, and I've been talking about for quite a while, and an equitable distribution of what I would call flow. And, you know, money is just another form of energy. It's a form of exchange. And eventually even that will peter out, and there will be just, you know, the 5th dimensional, multi-dimensional quantum energies that will affect every single human on the planet, hopefully. And we'll take all 7 or 8 billion with us. And that is the goal for this ascension cycle. And I've also, I was guided by the Ascended Masters and the Archangelics to make a film bringing all the spiritual leaders of America together. So I was a teacher of Reiki masters and healers across the globe, and scientists and doctors and all sorts of people. My first student was a policeman for Reiki 1 years and years ago. And in 92, I left a very rich husband and homes across the globe to come to truth, simplicity, and love, and to serve humanity even more fully for this wake-up cycle. And I went to nothing, and I really tell you guys, and many of you are noticing this in your lives, I know Charlie is as well, that the more we come to nothingness, the more we come to stillness, the more we cancel, delete, clear the past stories, the past traumas, the, you know, ideas, thoughts, places, beliefs, people, relationships that no longer serve this moment of now, the more we don't come with our 3D baggage into this quantum field that we are all, every single human has the choice now. And so the big question of this time is, what do we choose? So I made this film, even though I didn't know anybody in America. I met the right publisher, who happened to be the #1 publisher of Channel Books out of Charlottesville. Before that, I was guided to work with Leonard Orr. He's one of the fathers of the New Age. He's in heaven now. And he was the father of rebirthing breath work, which is modern Kriya Yoga, which is conscious connected breathing. So the in-breath goes into the out-breath, and the out-breath goes into the in-breath. There's no gap at the top. There's no gap at the bottom. And if we do 20 conscious connected breaths twice a day, we go into physical immortality, youthing, reversing, aging, all sorts of incredible things, you know. And we are actually physical immortal beings, as Charlie knows. And so these books have the energy behind the words to help people shift within free will and the higher good. And so we, you know, within 3D, 4D, there is still free will for humanity. This is a free will zone, which is why we've landed up in the density that we're in right now, because the prime creator energy, the source energy, which is not outside of ourselves, as our religions have taught us, it's within us, within each and every one of us, our divine spark, our heart, soul. In Sanskrit, we call it Atma, which is soul, and Paramatma, which is God, is one as us, within us. So Om Namah Shivaya, for example, is a mantra that people can use, and it means Om is the primordial sound of the universe. First there was the word, and then came the light. You know, first there was sound, and then came light. And Om Namah Shivaya means I love myself, I honor myself, God, Goddess dwell within me as me. And then within all selves, shining in all beings, everywhere. So that's the meaning, and that helps to still the mind. So the monkey mind, we are all moving from monkey mind into our cosmic heart, soul, consciousness, and the brain that is way more intelligent in our gut, you know. And so, and then we move into the buddhi mind, which is the higher mind, which is the detached witness of the field, being the mind, body, and the intellect. And so we're in this holographic reality that we've been mesmerized, and we went into forgetfulness. And the whole game of snakes and ladders is coming to an end. So it's time to remember who we are, which is nothingness and everythingness. Once we embrace the core, which is that emptiness, that black hole, that womb, you know, the mother has to have an empty womb for a baby to be created, or twins to be created. And so as we focus in meditation or breathing or wholehearted dancing, painting, singing, walking, you know, serving humanity, serving each self as ourselves that comes within our path, or as we are guided by our heart, soul, beingness, in the now moment, everything starts shifting. Am I going too fast? Is this helping, Charlie?
It's helping. It has a huge impact. I was just listening to what you were saying there about whether it's just breathing or painting or dancing. All these things don't cost money. These
Beautiful.
things are free.
Exactly, exactly. And, you know, many of us, you know, I was a pioneer, so I went to 0 point. My husband said, I'll give you nothing. And I said, I just need to go back to simplicity. I was very young. I had reached jet setting, homes across the globe, working for General Motors, you know, as their greatest distributors, being treated like a celebrity everywhere. And I knew that I had a much bigger role to play because I was conceived by the Great Pyramid of Giza in Cairo, and I spent the first 6 years of my life in a very magical childhood in Egypt, Cairo, even though my father was covering the war front in Beirut and all these places, as you know, Charlie. And then I came to London when I was only 6, and I wanted to become a Christian. I used to go to Sunday school, and our neighbors were Protestants. Charlie knows all about the Catholic and the Christian thing. And so my mom, you know, was very liberal. We weren't brought up in any religious way, but she believed in the God and everything, in every religion. And she said, darling, we love Jesus and Mary, but, you know, it's a bit young to decide, you know, wait till you're older. And then when I was 10, I went on a ship back to India and lived in India for several years. And then I got married to this international businessman and lived across the globe. And I've lived in Switzerland, and so now when I look back at my life, I know that everything was a training from being in aeroplanes from the womb. And those first memories of runways was to do the mission, you know, whether I studied hotel management, because now I've lived in hotels for 12 years. And literally in 3D money, based on what happens, I've got about 1 year's money left. And I left, you know, my husband years and years ago. So everybody was waiting for me to fall in a ditch, and they couldn't believe it. And we're still friends, my husband and I. But each time I tend to fly, because I'm not just looking at my good, I'm looking at the higher good of all concern. And that's as we follow these two principles, which are Reiki principles, but they're universal life force energy principles. Highest good of all concern, free will of all concern, within 3D and 4D. In 5D, there is only the divine will. So it's Charlie's divine will that is, you know, I feel inspiring him to every day show up and do show after show after show with the total good intent in his heart to serve humanity. And this is the greatest joy, the greatest bliss. People ask me, you know, they don't believe I'm not a billionaire, which I'm not at all. I have nothing left in the bank now, actually, in any bank, more or less. But, you know, and I don't charge for what I do anymore. For 12 years, I'm holding that Mahalakshmi energy for the planet, where we will go beyond money. And in the meantime, there will be the different stages, the gold standard, this, that, and the other. But you see, we have fallen very asleep, and we've created this collective dream. And so right now, the collective shadow is coming up for purging and merging and bringing back to 0 point. So first we have to acknowledge that dark. It begins within each and every one of us. In some lifetime or another, we have all done all these horrible things, even though it seems like we haven't. We have within the duality polarity experiment on planet Earth. However, you know, the truth is the prime creator there's no judgment. There's no judgment on that level of absolute reality, which is at our core, where we are all part of the unified field of consciousness. But also we're on the periphery, we're in relative reality. In relative reality, which is 3D, 4D, as we sow, so shall we reap. You know, action, reaction, cause and effect, and karma. And so now the time has come to shift from this monkey mind karmic cycle of birth, death, into dharma, which is right action, right thought, right word, moment to moment.
You've been talking about 3D, 4D and 5D. I've been led to believe that my son Justin, 10 years old, who does my introductions on here, is at 12D. Give me your thoughts.
Yes. Yes, oh, he's amazing from the little introduction I've seen him do. He's, you know, the truth is that, you know, to get mental with anything I'm saying, we'll just totally be missing the boat. There are multiple dimensions, and these are not places that we go to. New Earth is not a place that we, you know, we get a badge and we go to. Heaven is not a place we go to. These are frequencies. So we are made of sound, light, vibration. We are electromagnetic fields of energy. We are quantum. We are all part of the unified field of consciousness. So even for the listeners that are skeptical and do not believe in spirituality and God and so on and so forth, you still understand quantum physics, which totally proves what I'm saying, which is everything comes from 99.9.9.9% nothingness. That is that feminine energy, and we all have that feminine energy within us, and the masculine energy, which is the doing, making happen, dynamic, energy. So we can call these energies by different names, Shiv, Shakti. We can, you know, my first book, The Divine Mother Speaks, is decoding of, you know, energy mastery. And these are very thin little books, but people keep them as handbooks because they're multidimensional. So your son and all of us ultimately are multidimensional. And so these children are the teachers. They are bringing such high frequency that the future we have is amazing. However, within 5D and beyond, it is just the now moment. And whether people like it or not, these are the photonic energies. Photons are pure light. Electrons and neutrons have the positive and negative charge. So what's really important to remember now, as the dark comes up within us, keep clearing it within yourself if you want your reality to change. Then you'll have a totally different reality to somebody else next to you when the bomb blasts or whatever may happen, anything, where you are unaffected and the other person is totally affected because of the frequencies. And so on the world stage, you know, some of us are bridging the dimensions. We are covering 3D, 4D, 5D, multidimensionality, the nothingness and the everythingness. And more of us eventually will do that, and then our job will be done because everybody will be awake, and there'll be just total celebration, dancing on the streets, you know, being in nature, celebrating, sharing. So the greatest thing we can do to navigate these energies right now is to be here now, to connect to your breath, to go within, to switch off your gizmos, to connect with nature as best as you can. And if you can't, you know, I'm in the heart of New Delhi, next to the Prime Minister's house. But luckily I have 30 acres of trees around me. And when my mission, you know, 24 years in London, the last part of it was in hotels. And so my hotel was very close to Diana's Palace because, you know, there's a lot of energy work going on behind the scenes for the collapse of the various systems that is just holding frequency, and then the light just shines and those frequencies start collapsing, the old giving way to the new, which is what Shiva speaks, Conversations with Mahavtar Babaji, is that in all of us and in the world stage, the lower octaves are collapsing and crumbling for the higher octaves to be reborn, to be to flower. And so is this
No, that's right.
any questions? I'm rambling.
I'm absorbing what you're saying because this side of what I've been going through is an area that I'm looking into, and an area that I did not know at all prior to this journey. I knew about spirituality, but I'd never dug into it in this depth. My idea of spirituality was inbred into me as a child. We're going to church every day, 7 days a week, and then 3 or 4 times on a Sunday. So that was sort of force-fed religion, whereas spirituality is a completely different thing. And understanding spirituality and understanding frequencies and understanding all of this, for me, I'm a virgin. I'm learning from a number of different people about it. But one thing that's become very, very interesting is that the spiritual levels of the people of India is above levels that I'd ever known before. But there's a real connection in India to spirituality.
Yes, you know, I don't consider myself to be Indian or British. I have a British passport. I've lived in England the largest part of my life, but I speak German. I've lived in many countries. You know, with my husband, my last place was Jumeirah, you know, villa in Jumeirah, Dubai, and I've lived in Pakistan, you know, while I had an Indian passport, and in Egypt and many countries. So, you know, the truth is that from past lives, we have all the wisdom within us. We have every single thing within us. We don't even need a book or a film or conversations. However, all these different things help. So when I was younger and I realized that there was more, I began to re-seek, you know, because I was born awake, but then, you know, the conditioning creeps in slowly, and adapting to so many countries, you know, being around Brit, speaking with very posh British accent when I came back to India, and then learning to speak a bit of my language, which only happened very recently through watching my mother's TV serials, because I had to, because she was aging at the time. But yeah, so the East has that inner spirituality in their blood. However, many of the Westerners in past lives have been Eastern, and so you can get bright sparks everywhere, and ultimately it's beyond all these things. That what, let us just say, the mysticism of the East goes beyond words, it goes beyond concepts. You know, spirituality is ultimately not about a concept, and it's not methodology. And so even within Reiki systems and all the 20 modalities of energy medicine that I taught, you know, now it's all about just holding frequency, being still, envisioning, and serving all. And then if one is guided, broadcast. If one is guided, by all means, you know, write your next book or channel it. Or I'm doing a lot of art, you know, I call it art of the heart. And I'm always amazed because when I do the painting, I don't think. And then late, you know, they're all very golden age paintings, but they're sort of bringing light into matter. And that's what's happening. So we're all moving from carbon to crystalline, as many of us know already, and that's not an easy process. So we are literally being pressurized like coal to become a diamond. And this is not literal diamond, this is liquid light. Time is becoming liquid time, and we exist simultaneously in our past and future. So once we become still, that knowledge, that wisdom, that spirituality, east, west, 10th dimension, you know, lower astral realms, whatever it is, it can all come to you in the now moment. If you just ground yourself, guys, if you connect to your body temples, we are bringing heaven to earth. This is not zoning out like many space cadets I see across the globe. It's about being here now in your body. Your body is your temple. It is sacred. And I don't believe in being too draconian about having to be vegan or not. Your body, each person's body is different. Each person's body will tell them what they need. Some people have done drugs and alcohol and so many different things, and we all have through lifetimes. Whatever it is, everybody's different. So you follow the wisdom of your own body. Talk to your body. If you've got an ache or a pain, ask it, is this ascension? Is this to do with the photonic light and me? So, and then ask it, you know, drink a lot of water, you know, walk bare feet if you can, do some dancing, do celebrating. Go back to being a little child. You know, you're so lucky, Charlie, to have these wonderful children around you. I really miss the children. And when I was in the UK in November, you know, I was around some little children, and that's when I become a total kid. And I am a total kid, really. So I can be the wise divine mother, which people call me, and all sorts of names, you know, mystic, and, you know, different things. It doesn't really matter. These are all labels. It's time to let go of all the labels. And whatever we've done, good or bad, come into the now. You know, as the Hopi say, there is a fast-moving river. This is the wisdom of the Hopi. I went to Hopi land and did some ceremonies there with the etheric wise ones. And there is a fast-moving river. Give up clinging to the shores. Come to the center. Get your head above water. The current is moving fast. I'm using my own words for whatever they're saying. And then look who's around you and celebrate. You know, we can celebrate the sunshine, as Charlie and I just did at the beginning of this show. We can celebrate this divine connection between Spain and India right now, and across the globe and across the multiverses. Every time we become still, we are serving the planet more than anything else, you know. And so, I don't know where I was going. I'm in this multi-dimensional space.
That's fine. The point you made earlier about you're a little girl inside, I'm a little boy inside, and if we can connect with that
Yes.
childlike instinct inside us, we'll find it a lot easier to establish the truth. Because one thing with children, they have a very pure view of what's happening, and we've been contaminated. And if we can just connect to our child inside us, we'll find it so much easier to establish the truth.
Absolutely. So I'm going to get into, for a few minutes, something that's very, very essential. Within each and every one of us is the divine mother energy, the divine father energy, and the divine golden child energy within each and every one of us, no matter whether we are young or old. So, you know, our kids may be very young, but they're very old souls. So it's just about, as Charlie has said in his previous shows, making space for them and giving them a lot of freedom as well. But, you know, guiding them, because we have the wisdom, but they have, you know, that pure divine spark, and they come with high frequencies, as we've just said. Many of them are diamond children, you know, and I was an indigo. These labels don't matter. So within us also we have the wounded child. So the first 7 years of our lives is where most people are at, even when they hit 90, 120. And so once we learn to connect every day, like brushing teeth, take your wounded child, you know, find a little space in the shower or in the bathtub or under a tree, 10 minutes a day, and bring out your wounded child at the age of 5 or 4 or 6. Put it on your one knee of your lap. Ask it its name. It'll give you a name. And then bring out your divine child on the other knee. Now you'll find the divine child is joy, wisdom, grace, all the things Charlie just said. And the wounded child within all of us may be needing attention, maybe feeling separate, maybe feeling abandoned, maybe feeling traumatized, etc. What we're seeing that's happening with our children out there, and what we have allowed, every one of us have allowed this. Now, there's no point getting on a guilt trip. Guilt is a lesson not learned. It's about acknowledging, owning, thanking Team Dark. Thanking Team Dark, because without Team Dark, I give the example of Hitler, and we don't know what Hitler actually did. But Hitler was also showing something for us to make a new choice, because everything happens collectively. It doesn't happen because of one person. We are our governments, and so on and so forth, ultimately. So take that power back. I don't like that word power so much, because in the fifth dimensional frequencies, there's no such thing as power. It's all just your divine spark, your sovereignty, call it what you will. And so that wounded child needs your love. You be the mommy and daddy that your mommy and daddy couldn't be to that child, because through the genetic lines, the wounding goes on. And if you don't heal that, then the wounding will go on through the future lines. When you shift and heal yourself daily like this, your whole life changes. Everything becomes lighter and brighter. You become that divine play. Life is a dream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, merrily. Life is but a dream. It's a dream. It's a holographic reality. The observer affects the observed. This is also quantum physics. So become the compassionate observer of the movie drama. You are the actor, director, producer, and all the players of your film, including the people around you. Now, sometimes people can come to you not because you're the same frequency, because they want some of the light. So use your wisdom, when to speak, when to be quiet. So this wounded child eventually will become one with the divine child. And then every day after you've finished, you bring the two together and you pop them back into your heart as one, as you, and you move on with your day. But find time every day to play, to see the more positive, as in the bigger picture, the bigger picture. The mind will always keep you in past and future. Buddha Speaks to the Buddha Nature covers all of this. In very simple, I'm asking Buddha questions and answers in the now time for this wake-up cycle. Same with Shiva Speaks. I'm asking the Shiva energies in the now time how to deal with collapse, destruction of the dance of Shiva for the creation of the new. You can interchange the word Shiva with any pantheon you like. The Egyptian, the Chinese, the Christian. I work with Jesus, Mary. All these beings come through. Different beings come through in psychic surgery when I was doing all these different healings and modalities and initiations of healers and teachers across the globe. They were coming in for different people. And sometimes I'd say, but you're a Christian, and Buddha came in for you. And they'd say, well, we were born a Christian, but we love Buddha. So we all have our guides and ascended masters. Ultimately, ascended masters, archangelics, everything is us. We cannot get to the kingdom of heaven through the monkey mind. It cannot happen. So you cannot attack the monkey mind, because it's one head, you'll get 20 heads coming up. You just connect to your heart and your soul, and get into gratitude, get into play, get into creation. We are prime creator energy. We've come here to play. That's that golden divine child. Put that golden divine child, which is synonymous with your heart, with your soul, with God, goddess within you, on the driving seat of your car, and then gently move your wounded child, which is synonymous with your ego. And there's nothing wrong with the ego that is in the passenger seat, because we need, in the world, we as individuals, we have egos. But an ego gone mad is what we're seeing on the world stage with Team Dark. So put that child on the passenger seat and say, let's enjoy the ride. And if you've got anything to say, then we'll give you the love or give you the bubble gum, or we'll go and splash in some puddles, whatever you want. And then see how your life shifts.
Mhm.
So, you know, if everybody just heals their wounded child, and this is not a 1 minute process, it's a gentle everyday thing, because for 30 years or 40 years or 50 years or 110 years, one has been, you know, amplifying this wounded child energy. The deepest pain that every human has is the separation from source at the time of birth. You know, we all came in. This is why, you know, I was asked to be Lenador's healer after I recovered from cancer, having healed many of the disease. It was time for me to zero point Kensington and Chelsea and my little temple. I had a little studio. It was very grand, but it was also very, very simple. And it was like a multi-dimensional spaceship. And, you know, they said, just zero point all that, zero point all the teaching you've done, and go to America. But no, first go to hospital, embrace the allopathic route. I was a major holistic teacher at the time. And I was like, no way, I'll heal myself. Because I went to a numerologist and they said, they were a Babaji numerologist from Italy, you know, whatever. So I could just see that whatever she was saying resonated with me. And she said, you will bring everything to zero. I said, I've done it many times in my life. I brought Egypt to zero, then I brought London to zero, then I brought Pakistan to zero. And I literally would leave with, you know, perfumes on the dressing tables. And I don't care about stuff, you know, I can shop. I'm a Libran, triple Libran. But I've had to leave beautiful partners, you know, and leave whatever, just for the journey of service to humanity and my own path, which is that. Because I'm transpersonal, many of us are going to self-actualize into moving from the personal to the transpersonal. That doesn't mean you don't put your oxygen mask on and take care of yourself. That starts first, you know, which is where some of us are a little bit weak, because we tend to overgive and we don't spend enough time nurturing ourselves. So as healers and teachers and people that are serving, we must remember to make it like the infinity, which Charlie Freak talks about. And it's a fact. Take care of yourself, take care of others, you know, and don't be over responsible or over guilty. Just use wisdom. So what was I just talking about?
Well, you mentioned the mask there earlier.
Yeah. So, you know, if you guys are interested, you know, just re-listen to parts of the show, because these are multi-dimensional and there's so much being covered. So vis-a-vis dark and light now for a moment, you know, and one of the reasons is I jump around because it's all to bring people. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not thinking about what I'm going to say. None of it is so that we come out of monkey mind and we come into our feeling. Feeling and the spiritual bodies are very connected. Emotions are, you know, a little bit different, because emotions means you've added your thought to the, but you've got to let that energy move. So if you're feeling anger, which a lot of people are feeling right now, write it out, sing it out, paint it out, dance it out, jog it out, you know, scream it out within reason. Don't hurt yourself and don't hurt others. Because energy is energy in motion. So yeah. I was just telling you that I embraced the allopathic route to show transmutation of chemotherapy, radiotherapy, all these things, because she said I'd bring everything to zero. I came back home and I said, step it up, Ascended Masters, and bring everything to zero now. As in, if that's for the highest good for this planet to, you know, wake up. And that was in 2005. So, I said, except my partner. I was with a partner called Enoch, and he was British, and he understood the mysticism of India as well, and so on and so forth. And we were also very grounded. You know, he had a child. We had the child with us some of the time, and it was lovely. Zena was the most beautiful child. Because I never had my own child, because I was going to serve, and that was all meant to be. So I was able to transmute it. Barely had I had a chemo face, and I was on a plane to America. And literally, I met all the people I was meant to meet. I didn't know anybody at the time. So when I zero pointed the Lenador story, because he was back on track, and I wasn't going to become his, you know, I wasn't going to make his dream come true and live next to him. Various people were saying, well, you're going to marry this, that, and the other American. And I was like, you know, if I am, I am. But meanwhile, nobody's planning that for me, you know. I'm doing my journey. And so then I met Bob Friedman, whose publishing house was about to be taken away, and was taken away. And then I said, you are not retiring. You still have work to do. You have service for the planet. Because I tend to be a shepherd of the shepherds. Now, that's neither here nor there. We're all equal. We are all equal, whether we are sweeping the roads. That's as important as being a king or queen. We're all kings and queens, guys, within. We've got to give up this need to follow everybody and, you know, just come back to your own inner voice. And so it was all transmuted, and all these things happen. And it all just happened just from my having the courage to do whatever I did to get where I had to go and just be there. And then it all happened. And then he introduced me to Neil Donald Walsh, and they were going to make this film called I, God that I didn't really agree with. But I was asked just before that by my higher self and the Ascended Masters to bring a film bringing all the different parts to religion in one place. Now, it was not an easy journey. I was dealing with the New York best-selling authors and their messages, and they've written books that have gone to millions of people. I'm behind the camera. It was not fun, because a lot of them don't carry the frequencies behind what they teach. And so, but don't shoot the messenger. The message is still important. And it's not about being perfect. So this dark and light exists within each and every one of us, guys. And so instead of judging it on the world stage or wherever, become wise. Obviously, you know, that doesn't mean saying yes to nonsense. And it means, you know, taking a stand, speaking up when you're meant to. But to get overly obsessed with team dark, team light, righteousness, and all this is missing the boat. We have to integrate dark and light, forgive it, bring it to whatever justice, and that may not be our role. That may be the role of whoever it is. You know, Source is also playing a role in all of this. What do you feel about that part, Charlie, about the dark and light part I just said?
I think that's absolutely spot on. And it's important that we understand it, because this is people need to understand the different aspects of things. One thing I've learned through this whole journey right now, that I've had to have an understanding of the spiritual side of moving from darkness into light. I've understood the physical side of what's evil. We understand that. But it's, to understand it in a clearer dimension is to understand the spiritual side.
Yes. So you agree that Team Dark has played a role, and so on and so forth, and that to be overly obsessed with that stuff, and you know, because you see, if you go for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, it's all there in our scriptures. It doesn't lead to anything. But there are times when we have to pick up, you know, whatever it is and fight, you know. But that is the wisdom of the moment. And it's not going to come from not being grounded. It's not going to come from, you know, overly giving. It's not going to come from me, and my house, we are not a house. We are not a body. We are none of these things. We are nothing. So within that, there are rules for the body. There are rules for the spirit. And we are all of this. So it may sound complicated, but the truth is, if you just connect and ground and work on that little child inside that is feeling abandonment, separation, sadness, then comes the anger at the parents, anger at the authority figures, because we gave our power away, right?
We're coming into a period right now where people are going to be very angry and very hurt, because of the fact that they'll feel they've been misled and lied to, and they didn't understand, and there'll be an embarrassment where people like us have been aware of what's happening and trying to point it out. We've been laughed at and we've been derided and what have you. That hasn't bothered me one little bit. But there'll be a period where there'll be embarrassment more than anything, and because a lot of these people are technically very intelligent, but when it comes to streetwise, they're incredibly stupid.
Because they're not connected to their feeling bodies.
They're not connected at all.
They're not connected to their hearts.
When you said about the Bible, you know, about an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth.
They will come to it when they're ready, you see?
Yeah.
And it's not always up to us to wake everybody up, though if we are guided, by all means, you know. But people do have free will in 3D and 4D, and so everybody has their own divine timing. Their soul may have chosen, for whatever reasons, to play Team Dark. Ultimately, it all serves, because right now, if I only have light, Charlie can't see me. Rashmi in Sanskrit, my name, my birth name means, it means moonlight and sunlight. You know, I feel very connected to the goddess Hathor of ancient Egypt. I used to talk to this cow in the sky, my mother said, as a little kid, in the balcony of Zamalek in Cairo, in Arabic. And that was the goddess Hathor, which is the goddess of love, beauty, harmony, inner alchemy, which is Heros Gamos, the inner sacred marriage of the divine masculine and divine feminine energies. Then it may manifest on the outside as what you guys call twin flames, soulmates, whatever. But it may not. Not all of us need to be in those relationships, but many of us do. And it's wonderful. It's absolutely lovely. And our children are just so important now. So faith and trust are also very important, you know, and that's not been easy for me, because my mom put me on an aeroplane when I was 4.5 to go back to India, because, you know, she had to bring the twins, and at that time you couldn't take the nannies on the aeroplane and all this, and she had to carry all these things and whatnot. So it was not easy, because she said, take back my sari. So I'm fighting with this customs official. At the age of 5.5, I'm on this aeroplane with an air hostess, and I'm trapped in my seat. And then I'm with my rich grandparents that I didn't want to be with. I wanted to be with the poor ones because all the aunties were there. And plus my mom was into her family, so I wanted to be with them because my mom would disappeared for 6 months. So we all have these different things. So, but I've learned, you know, every time I've jumped a cliff, when I left my rich husband, they said, you know, she'll be back in 5 minutes. The whole world was shouting at me. Not just the Indians, the British, everybody was shouting at me. I had a house in Windsor, I had a house in flat in Rutland Gate, Knightsbridge, and on it went. One in America, on it went. One in Iraq, etc. So I continued to live in Kensington and Chelsea right up to now, you know, almost. However I lived, whether it was in hotels or not, you know, because God wanted me there, because I had to work on so many things, including the royalty and all these people, for them to come to the light. And I already knew that they were going to kill Diana before they did it. I knew. I was talking to Trump's higher self for the last 3 years. I was like, why am I doing that? I was watching, I never watched TV, but I watched TV and brought in the frequencies for Trump to be elected and against all odds. I'm not into politics. Or maybe when I was younger, when my dad and all, but not anymore, not for years. I don't watch TV the last 30 years, more or less. But when I'm guided to switch that TV on, I switched it on and I saw Obama with Hillary shooting a so-called Osama bin Laden that didn't exist. Now, it doesn't really matter what the stories are, you know, everybody's guided to a different thing. And ultimately, it's not about Trump saving anybody or even Jesus being able to save anybody. Jesus is here, Mary is here, the Ascended Masters are here, Buddha and Shiva, all the different beings. They're not persons. They're huge force fields of energy now. They have become all that is. They exist within our hearts and soul. Let's not fight with each other about what we call the divine. It exists. We are all divine. If we can't treat ourselves well, then we're not honoring the divine. If we can't treat each other well, we're not honoring the divine. You know, that's what Namaste means. I don't really understand my Indian spirituality totally, even though I've written these books. I've written them from a more energetic, spiritual, esoteric, timeless place. But Namaste means the God, Goddess within me bows to the God, Goddess within you. And humanity has this incredible opportunity now, you know. So for the ones and the naysayers, you know, we are all becoming masters. To be a master is to be above the good opinion of others, as Charlie has just said. You know, be above the good, you know, follow your heart and be yourself. Don't be Trump or this one or that one, you know. God bless the man. I am going to say it. I don't care how much hate mail I get. But I don't want to be just spending all my time in that sort of nonsense. But I already got a message today from this lady that I'm doing a show with, saying, why are you doing a show with Charlie Freak? You know, don't you know this, that, and the other? And I'm just like, I'm not interested in arguments. I know what I know. And it doesn't mean that everybody I'm on a show with, I agree with 100% of what they're saying and doing. How do I know, you know? But I do know the truth, and I know when I'm meant to connect with somebody. So if I'm meant to, you know, have Prince Philip suddenly walk into the room, which I don't want, but it happened, and everybody around me curtsying, the 4 or 5 people that are in the room, and I refused to curtsy. Now, I had done the Duke of all the Edinburgh schemes and this, that, and the other. So I was just, but the energy was just so diabolically negative that was that. Whereas when I met Charles, Prince Charles, years ago, at the time, all I can say is that the energy was not so bad. He was twitching like crazy. He was extremely nervous. And I thought, poor man, I wanted to meet Diana. She wasn't there. Instead, my family took me because we were, the heads of some Indian cultural center, when I was married, from Windsor down to London. But you see, humans are humans at the end of the day. And okay, yes, some of them have been overshadowed by dark energies and reptilians and this, that, and the other. But in your gut, everybody, and to judge is just not where it's at in any scriptures, in any wisdom. So when we judge, the problem is that everybody judges themselves. I'm not good enough. I'm not perfect enough. My hair isn't cool enough. I'm not looking good enough. I'm not saying the right things. I'm not doing enough. So just shift that personal lie in everybody's mind of I'm not enough to I'm okay. I'm all right. And every time those authority figures in our minds, teacher, parent, minister, whatever it was, comes up, say, thank you, mind, and then come into the heart soul. Feel that magnificence of who you be. And then through you, the divine, be the empty chalice. That divine energy will pour through, and you will find yourself being yourself. Not a Mahatma Gandhi, not a whoever. You will be you. And we are all unified field of consciousness. We are one, but we have also come here to be unique. And let us just love and respect each other, even if we don't agree with each other. I just delete and block people that aren't respectful. I'm quite happy for them to say they love Hillary Clinton or whatever it is. So be it. That's what they're choosing. However, you can be respectful,
I couldn't agree more. I've said so many times to anybody that wants to challenge me, come and challenge me, no problem at all. But if you want to be rude, offensive, and just go into identity politics, then I won't even bother responding, because all they are trolls, and they just want to wind you up, and it doesn't. For me, it doesn't wind me up at all. I just feel sorry for them. But for those who want to know the truth, I'll share my time with anybody to discuss anything.
And on our journey now, many of us, my brother thinks I'm a woo-woo, even though at other times when he's in a good mood, he would say, oh, the great divine mother and all this. But even that's kind of a, piss take, excuse my language. But, my brother and sister have tons of money. They've got several houses. My mother left me a millionaire because the house we have in Diplomatic Enclave, my father was just a journalist, but, they were the brains of India. My grandfather was the Auditor General of the Railways and one of the brains of British India. And so they were brains that, that created out of nothing. And so their properties became worth a lot of money. So my brother just took it all because he's the boy. Now, the Indian court system is nuts. So do you feel that some of these changes now will be quite quick with the court systems and all these cases jammed up? I walked out of court and I said to those guys, I said, in 300 years when you decide, Mr. Judge, let me know. But meanwhile, we don't even need probate because my father, unfortunately, was killed by the servant. And so, I said, this is an intestate case and my mother's will has got all the signatures and witnesses on it. And I knew when I left the gate of my home, which is my home as well, in Delhi, that I was not going to walk back to, I was kissing away 2-3 million pounds, whatever it was. But I couldn't just be there and be a slave. I couldn't, freedom is everything. And integrity is everything. Money comes and goes. And the truth is, if you're a good person and we can do another show on abundance and how to create abundance out of nothing, which comes from serving and it comes from joy and it comes from nothingness and it comes from making space, not taking the 30 Mercedes or whatever you're carrying, and sometimes we can't take our family with us. Now, my prayer is for my brother and sister to wake up. They're sitting on empty houses. They know their sister has nothing, right? Now, they say, well, why is she staying in hotels? If she has nothing, why didn't she put that little bit of money into something? Well, I actually sold all that so I could jump on airplanes and be in DC, be in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, be in London, be wherever God sends me, be in Stonehenge, whatever it is, wherever I'm supposed to be, I just, you know, cross check, and then I go.
Well, it's been an amazing time having a discussion with you this morning here, this afternoon in New Delhi.
Before we go, Charlie, could I just ask you quickly, do you have any intel, you know, just on ground 3D levels? Do you have any intel for India? I mean, for Delhi, India, Delhi?
The one thing that I can assure you that
September lockdown. I'm just specifically.
Modi is very, very close to Trump and working very, very close. If we have lockdowns, whether they be in India, Spain, the UK, wherever it is, the lockdowns will be for one reason and one reason only, and that is to rid the world of these evil people, mainly in government. That's what the lockdown will be for. It will be for the transition from the old banking system to the quantum system, and to remove the people in power that are corrupt. But before that period is, Donald Trump will expose them for what they are.
So this September, though, do you feel India shutting down as well, or because you know each country has its own karma as well? And you know, I've really been working with talking to Modi's higher self, because I wasn't too happy earlier, but now I'm seeing him feeding peacocks next door, and talking a lot. I just tell his higher self, Mr. Modi, if you really.
I lost your picture for a minute.
Yeah, I don't know where I went for a minute. I've been asking his higher self to work for the farmers, to really become a true hero. And then he tends to say that in his next speech, which is nice. I hope he actually does lots more. And I'm really happy to hear that he's aligning with the Trump and Putin, because, you know, our leaders aren't going to do it for us. We all have to lead ourselves, but our leaders are quite crucial right now in this time of change. And the gold, you know, do you feel the gold price will go down before it goes up in September?
No. There's no indication of that. The gold price will fluctuate, of course, but once the revaluation is done, it will go up. I don't know how much by, but it's being artificially suppressed at this moment in time.
Yes, yes. But for September, do you feel it'll go up or down?
September and October, we're in transition. We have to look at the bigger picture, because everything will come up to a crescendo of November the 3rd for elections in America. And that's what it's gearing up for. So between now and then, there'll be a lot of confusion, a lot of fear, a lot of things that we don't understand. And in my own words, now's the time to hibernate, to keep out of the way of trouble, and just accept the fact that there's going to be chaos and fear going around every which place you could ever imagine for the next 2 months.
We have collectively created this shutdown to go within, to reboot, to recharge, to reset. In March, when this happened, while everybody was panicking and going nuts, and I watched it on Facebook, and I thought, what nonsense, you know? This is I could just see Fauci and that whole thing and go, this isn't a pandemic, just from the figures and what they were doing. I could just see it, just like when I saw the Twin Towers, I went, this isn't what's happening, you know? Just like when I saw Obama and Hillary, I thought, oh God, I thought Obama was working for the light. No, he's Hillary's, and he was president at the time. What I saw on TV, just for a minute, God said, switch it on just for a minute, and watching him kill, you know, so-called Osama bin Laden down in Pakistan or wherever it was for the nth time. So, yeah, you know, for people to go within right now and to use this time, you know, that's why I didn't broadcast all these months, because it was just a deep place of holding frequency for the planet, for humans to wake up with as much grace and ease into becoming divine angelic humans, which is what we are. You know, into feeling their divinity, into realizing the futility of collecting so much stuff and spoiling their children and going me, and all this stuff, and nationalities, all these things in the future won't mean anything, you know. What matters is each other and celebrating together and grassroots. You know, what can we do every day even though I live in a hotel, I share my food. Now, all this takes focus. And when I'm in London, I do the same. You know, I wrap it up and I take it to the guy on the corner near Kensington tube station. You know, wherever you are, we can help. And in the future, as Charlie has said in many of his shows, which is so beautiful, Charlie, thank you so much for all you do for the collective, is, you know, share and care, and whatever you have, you know, that's how I create abundance out of nothing. Whatever I have, I don't go, oh, I won't get another one. I just give it and I give it and I give it. Precious things, nice things, my paintings, you know, some one or two may sell, you know, but I also just give them. I gift them, you know, and the joy of giving comes to you first. Sure. The gift always comes to the giver first, that somebody even received something from you.
Sure.
It never goes to the receiver first.
Sure. Well, thank you very much, Rashmi. It's been absolutely wonderful talking to you, and you've given us a lot to think about and a lot to consider there.
I'm sending heart energy blessings and flow blessings for the humanity, for Charlie's work, for all our listeners within Free Will and the Higher Good. And if and when we're ready, Charlie, we can always do another one on another subject or whatever it is, or the now, future moment of now. Meanwhile, let's really see that vision of a golden earth, and let us be ye like a child to go through the eye of the needle.
Thank you very much, Rashmi.
Namaste. God bless. Bye-bye.
Hi, it's Justin, and I hope you're enjoying my dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with family and friends, like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it. And just remember, Jesus loves you.